My sister sabotaged my business launch, but karma delivered a crushing blow she never saw coming. My hands trembled as I typed out this post, my heart still a raw, aching mess. I'm not sure what I'm hoping to gain by putting this out there, maybe just some validation, or to know I'm not crazy for feeling this way. I'm a 32-year-old woman, and for the past 5 years, I've poured every ounce of my being, every waking hour, every saved penny, into building my dream, a small, artisanal bakery specializing in gluten-free and vegan pastries. It's been a monumental undertaking, fraught with challenges, sleepless nights, and moments of utter despair, but also incredible joy and the unwavering belief that I was creating something truly special. My older sister, Clara, who is 35, has always been, well, Clara. Growing up, she was the golden child, the effortlessly beautiful one, the one who excelled at everything without seemingly trying. I, on the other hand, was the quiet, artistic one, often overlooked in her dazzling shadow. I loved her, of course, because she was my sister, but there was always this undercurrent of competition, an unspoken rivalry that I tried my best to ignore. When I told her about my bakery idea, her initial reaction was surprisingly supportive, or so I thought. She even offered to help with some of the marketing, given her background in graphic design. I was thrilled, genuinely touched that she wanted to be a part of my dream. I saw it as a chance for us to finally bond, to put aside the childhood jealousies and build something together. The launch date was set for 2 weeks ago. We had secured a prime spot at a very popular local farmers market, a huge stepping stone for a small business like mine. I had spent months perfecting my recipes, sourcing the best ingredients, designing the packaging, and creating a buzz online. My social media was filled with tantalizing photos of my pastries, and I had even managed to get a few local food bloggers interested. Everything was meticulously planned. I had pre-sold a significant number of items for the launch, and the anticipation was palpable. I truly believe this was it, the culmination of years of hard work, the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. Clara had designed a beautiful logo and helped me set up my initial website. She was present at all the tasting sessions, offering constructive criticism, which I genuinely appreciated. She seemed invested, and for the first time in our adult lives, I felt a genuine closeness to her. We would talk for hours about the bakery, about my vision, about the challenges and triumphs. I shared all my fears and hopes with her, believing she was truly on my side. This made what happened next even more devastating. 3 days before the launch, I started getting strange messages on my bakery's social media. People were asking about a new artisanal gluten-free and vegan bakery that was launching at the same farmers market, on the same day, selling remarkably similar products. My stomach dropped. I immediately went to the farmers market's vendor list, which I had checked religiously. There it was, clear as day, a new listing, Clara's Wholesome Bites. My sister's name. My sister's business. My sister's exact niche. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely type. I called her immediately. She answered, her voice unusually cheerful. "Hey, what's up?" she chirped. "Clara, what is Clara's Wholesome Bites?" I asked, trying to keep my voice even, though I felt a volcanic rage simmering beneath the surface. There was a pause, a moment of silence that stretched into an eternity. Then, she let out a little laugh, a nervous, almost dismissive sound. "Oh, that? Just a little something I've been working on." "A little something?" "Clara, it's launching at the same market, on the same day as my bakery. You're selling gluten-free and vegan pastries. That's my business." Her tone shifted, becoming defensive, cold. "Well, it's a free market, isn't it? I have every right to start my own business. Besides, you don't own the concept of gluten-free baking. And frankly, my recipes are better." The last part hit me like a physical blow. Better? She had been at my tasting sessions, she had praised my recipes, she had watched me pour my heart and soul into every single detail. I felt an icy dread crawl up my spine. "You've been using my recipes, haven't you?" I whispered, the realization dawning on me. My unique flour blends, my specific ingredient ratios, the subtle flavor profiles I had meticulously developed, she had access to all of it. She had been there, taking notes, observing, pretending to be supportive while secretly plotting her own venture using my intellectual property. She scoffed. "Please. Like you invented a gluten-free chocolate chip cookie. Get over yourself. I just saw an opportunity and took it. You were taking too long to launch anyway. I'm just more efficient." I hung up. I couldn't breathe. My own sister. The person I had trusted, the person I had confided in, had systematically stolen my business concept, my recipes, and was now attempting to directly compete with me, hoping to siphon off my customers and goodwill. The betrayal was crushing. It wasn't just about the business. It was about the years of unspoken resentment, the hidden jealousy, finally erupting in the most destructive way imaginable that I spent the next 2 days in a blur of panic and despair. I considered cancelling the launch, but I had too many pre-orders, too much at stake. My reputation, my dream, everything hung in the balance. I reached out to my parents, hoping they would intervene, but they were surprisingly dismissive. "Oh, darling, Clara just wants to try her hand at something new. Don't be so dramatic," my mother said, her voice dripping with her usual favoritism. "It's healthy competition. It will make you stronger." My father simply grunted something about sibling rivalry and told me to handle it like adults. They just didn't get it, or perhaps they chose not to. They had always turned a blind eye to Clara's more manipulative tendencies, always excusing her actions. So, I went ahead with the launch, my heart heavy, my spirit bruised. The farmer's market was bustling, and I set up my booth, trying to project an air of confidence I didn't feel. And then I saw her, Clara, in a bright, eye-catching booth directly across from mine, her new logo strikingly similar to the one she had designed for me, albeit with a slight color alteration. She had even mimicked my packaging design, though hers looked rushed and a bit amateurish in comparison. She was smiling, chatting with customers, a picture of effortless charm, just like always that I felt a surge of nausea. This was a nightmare. Customers who had pre-ordered from me came up, confused. "I thought you were Clara's Wholesome Bites," one woman asked. "Her cookies look just like yours." I had to explain, patiently, repeatedly, that no, I was my bakery name, and that my sister had started a similar business. It was humiliating, the day was a struggle. Many of my regular customers, the ones who had followed my journey from the beginning, were loyal and purchased from me. But there were also many who, seeing the similar offerings, decided to try Clara's, especially those who were unfamiliar with either of us. I watched as her line grew, a knot forming in my stomach. She even had the audacity to wave at me, a smug smile on her face, as if to say, "See? I told you I was better." I sold enough to cover my costs, but the joy, the triumph I had anticipated, was completely overshadowed by the bitter taste of betrayal. I went home that evening exhausted, defeated, and utterly heartbroken. I seriously considered giving up. What was the point of building something if it could be so easily stolen, so easily undermined by someone I was supposed to trust? But then, something shifted. A tiny spark of defiance ignited within me. I had worked too hard, sacrificed too much, to let her win. This wasn't just about a bakery anymore. It was about my dignity, my self-worth. I decided then and there that I wouldn't just survive. I would thrive, and I would do it my way. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. I contacted a lawyer to explore my options regarding intellectual property theft, though I knew it would be a long and expensive battle. More importantly, I doubled down on my efforts to differentiate my brand. I introduced new, innovative products that Clara wouldn't be able to easily replicate. I focused on telling my story, emphasizing the passion and authenticity behind my brand, something Clara, with her opportunistic venture, couldn't genuinely claim. I engaged even more actively with my customers, building stronger relationships, fostering a sense of community around my bakery, and then, karma, in its own slow and deliberate way, started to unfurl its plan. Clara, it turned out, was not as meticulous or as passionate as I was. She was good at the initial concept, at mimicking, but she lacked the dedication, the attention to detail, and the genuine love for the craft that I possessed. Her recipes, while initially similar to mine, started to falter. She cut corners, used cheaper ingredients, and her products became inconsistent. Her online reviews, which had initially been decent due to the novelty, began to dip. Customers complained about dry pastries, bland flavors, and erratic service that I heard snippets of information through the farmer's market grapevine and from mutual acquaintances. Clara was constantly late setting up a booth, her display was often messy, and she frequently ran out of popular items because she hadn't accurately predicted demand. She lacked the operational efficiency that I, through sheer grit and meticulous planning, had painstakingly developed. The real turning point, however, came with a very specific, and rather dramatic, incident. One of my signature items was a very delicate, intricate lavender shortbread cookie. It was notoriously difficult to get right, requiring precise temperature control and a very specific type of lavender for the perfect floral notes without tasting soapy. I had spent months perfecting it, and it was a customer favorite. Clara, of course, tried to replicate it. About a month after our dueling launches, a local food critic, renowned for her sharp palate and no-nonsense reviews, visited the farmers market. She was known to be a huge fan of artisanal, small-batch bakeries. I had been hoping she would visit my booth, but I had no idea she was even there until after the fact. She first stopped at Clara's booth. I saw her there, notebook in hand, observing, tasting. My heart pounded. I watched as Clara, beaming, handed her a sample of her lavender shortbread. The critic took a bite, her expression unreadable. She then moved on, without buying anything from Clara, which was not a great sign. To my immense relief, she then approached my booth. I took a deep breath, trying to appear calm and collected. She bought a variety of my pastries, including, much to my secret delight, my lavender shortbread. She complimented the presentation and asked a few pointed questions about my sourcing and baking process, which I answered truthfully and passionately. She seemed genuinely interested. A week later, the review was published in a local newspaper and online. It was a glowing, absolutely spectacular review for my bakery. The critic raved about the quality of my ingredients, the innovative flavors, the perfect textures, and the overall artistry of my pastries. She specifically singled out my lavender shortbread, calling it a poetic dance of delicate floral notes and buttery sweetness, a testament to true artisanal mastery. She declared my bakery a hidden gem and urged everyone to seek it out. Then came the kicker. In the same review, almost as an afterthought, she briefly mentioned another vendor at the market. Without naming Clara directly, she described a sadly misguided attempt at a lavender shortbread from a competitor booth, which she described as reminiscent of cheap potpourri and stale cookies, a truly disappointing experience that lacked any understanding of flavor balance or proper baking technique. She concluded by stating, "This serves as a stark reminder that passion and skill cannot be faked, and true artistry always shines through." The review went viral locally. People started flocking to my booth, eager to try the pastries the critic had so effusively praised. My sales skyrocketed. My social media exploded with new followers and inquiries. I was overwhelmed, in the best possible way. The local news even did a small segment on my bakery, highlighting my story and featuring my beautiful products. Meanwhile, Clara's business, which had already been struggling, took a nosedive. The negative, albeit unnamed, critique from the most respected food critic in the region was devastating. People started associating her with the potpourri cookies. Her existing negative reviews were suddenly amplified, and new ones poured in. Her initial rush of customers dwindled to almost nothing. I saw her at the next farmer's market. Her booth was nearly empty, her face pale and drawn. She avoided my gaze, shrinking behind her counter. The vibrant, confident smile was gone, replaced by a sullen, defeated expression. It wasn't a triumphant feeling for me, not entirely. There was still the sting of her betrayal, but there was also a profound sense of justice. She had tried to tear me down, to steal my dream, and instead, her own actions had led to her downfall. A few weeks after the review, I heard from my parents that Clara had decided to close Clara's Wholesome Bites. She had apparently lost a significant amount of money, accumulated debt, and was feeling completely demoralized. My mother sounded genuinely sad, but even she admitted that Clara hadn't been very serious about the business. My father, surprisingly, acknowledged that I had proven her wrong and was doing well. It wasn't an apology, but it was the closest I had ever gotten to one from them regarding Clara's behavior. The last I heard, Clara was looking for a new job, something in graphic design again. She hasn't spoken to me since that initial phone call, and I haven't reached out to her. Part of me still grieves the sister I thought I had, the possibility of a genuine connection that was shattered by her jealousy and deceit. But another, stronger part of me feels a fierce pride. I built this. I endured. And I did it with integrity and a genuine love for what I do. That I'm still processing everything. The betrayal still hurts, but the success, the overwhelming support from my customers, and the validation from the critic has been incredibly healing. I'm focusing on the future, on expanding my bakery, and continuing to create delicious, honest food. It wasn't the path I envisioned, filled with sibling rivalry and backstabbing, but it's my path now, and I'm walking it with my head held high. I guess some lessons have to be learned the hard way, and sometimes, karma truly is a dish best served with a side of perfectly baked lavender shortbread.